Live. If I am, hello, you lovely people out there. My name is Tyson, and in today's live stream, as you can tell by the title, I was just now watching YouTube, and I came across a video posted by possibly Spider-Man, and it was an idea for a game, and it was similar to Batman Arkham Origins, but instead it was Spider-Man Origins. I thought that was a really good idea. And so I figured, like, it'd be kind of cool to make a video talking about some things that I would put in that game, because I feel like it'd be pretty cool. First things first, gameplay-wise, story-wise, I'll do story first. In this game, and in Miles Morales, Spider-Man is said to have been Spider-Man for 8 years previous to the game. Meaning that the Spider-Man that I'm playing as now has been Spider-Man for 8 years. So we don't really get to see what his origin is, and I know every Spider-Man has the same origin. Bitten by a radioactive spider, becomes Spider-Man, Uncle Ben dies, or Aunt May dies in some things, I'm sure. Someone important to him dies, so he becomes Spider-Man. Most of the time it's Uncle Ben. We already know that. I don't mean that Spider-Man origin. I mean, like, his first few years as Spider-Man adapted into a video game, because we've never really seen much of that. In the movies, they kind of go by it pretty quickly, where it's like, he becomes Spider-Man early on in the movie, learns to use his powers, and then he's just already, like, a boss fighter level. So I think it'd be cool to see something like...
Pro tip, if you're not good at breaking or entering, maybe don't pull a B&E.
Spider-Man cut me off. Anyway, I think it'd be cool to make a game where he fights some previous villains that he either was shown in this game, like Kingpin. Kingpin in the first fight of this game was talking about, like, how Spider-Man's been ruining his stuff for 8 years since he was just like a puny kid and all that stuff. So more into like that crime boss aspect that he normally gets wrapped up in. And we don't get to see that a lot in TV shows and stuff, because of course most of the TV shows are meant for kids and they can't do drugs and gun trades and all that stuff because it's a children's thing. But as far as a game goes, they have almost endless possibility on what they could do. So I think having him wrapped up in like a crime boss type thing would be pretty cool. Okay, can I turn him talking off while I'm fighting? Yeah. I think it would be cool to have him wrapped up in some crime boss stuff, between maybe a gang war. I'd also think it'd be cool to see him fight Sandman, because in this game, I'll go ahead and show you quick. In the collections, you can collect a vial of sand from the backpacks, and this is what Peter says when you grab that sand. I forgot I just turned off voice volume. But basically it says that he trapped Sandman in this vial and that he doesn't know if opening it would set him free again. I think it'd be cool to see him put Sandman into the vial, like after a big fight, to see how Vulture cracked his lens in their first fight or whatever. Or to see how he created these web shooters. And just a couple other things that he's shown here, like after Kingpin beat the crap out of him with these. And then just a lot of throwaway things in the backpacks don't really get to be shown. Like Shocker's original suit, and like how some of these things came to be, and they could take pieces from the backpacks and like use it in the story. Like apparently a vial of Lizard's blood, meaning he fought the Lizard, and just we never get to see him fight Sandman, Connors, well, Lizard, or Shocker in his original suit, or Vulture from like their first fight. You get my point here. Just stuff that they've told in these that they never really put into the game. Like, we didn't get to see any of that because it's so late into his career as Spider-Man. So we don't get to see the first time he fought Electro, Vulture, him fighting Sandman or Lizard. So for them to have some of those be villains, I think it'd be pretty cool to watch him like try to fight Sandman, knowing that he can't actually just beat him up because he turns into sand. You can't really hurt him that easily. And to see him fight Electro, knowing that he can't touch him or else he's gonna go and just get like shocked. Or him learning how to fight Shocker and Vulture. Like, they have some good villains that they could use from this game without having to reuse people in this game. And of course they couldn't use him like fighting Doc Ock, because Doc Ock, his first appearance in this universe was in this game. So we can't use people like that, but as far as like original Rhino or stuff like that, we could see how those villains came to be. So in Spider-Man's first years, it's also their first years. I think that'd make for a pretty good Spider-Man story aspect. As far as suits that I would like to see be adapted into a game like that, I think it'd be really cool to see, of course, a classic Spider-Man suit, which would probably just be this one again. Homemade suit, I think, would be cool. I don't want them to reuse all of these suits because he has such a big roster of suits that they didn't use every Spider-Man adaptation suit in this game. But take a couple suits, like the classic one, the homemade suit, some of the movie ones, of course. Tobey Maguire's and Andrew Garfield's would most likely be in the next one. I don't necessarily know what else suit-wise they could put into a origin game. I do have a wish list for Spider-Man 2, though, which will be in a different video. As far as, like, HUD aspect and like gadgets and stuff, he should only have a couple of gadgets. He shouldn't have the amount he has here because, of course, he hasn't been Spider-Man that long. He doesn't really have access to a whole bunch of tech that he does now, being so far into his career. He knows what he's doing. I think it'd be cool, of course, you got to keep the webs and maybe the impact web. I think it'd also be cool to see a... sorry, I don't have a script for this. I'm trying to think of it as I'm making the videos. I wasn't prepared a lot, but maybe a gadget that... I don't know. Actually, for gadgets that aren't too high-techy, but like maybe have 2 or 3, like impact web, normal web, and maybe one other web type gadget, like maybe a really sticky web that instantly, I don't know, because you know, like, watch, if I web this guy up, he'll break out of it in a couple seconds, make it to where like they can't break out of it or something. Considering Spider-Man's webs are supposed to be really strong, which they're not really that strong in this game. Of course, I understand why they can't make him just, like, goated at everything. Goodness gracious. Let me get out. As far as the HUD and stuff, it looks really techy here because, of course, you're seeing probably what is in his head thing. Of course, it's not in third person. It's in first person, but it still has, like, the map thing. And the only reason I think it's actually like that for his visors, because in the Miles Morales game, it was like that. In a short scene, you could see, like, his suit power and stuff in first person. So I think to see that in a game... Of course, this is what he sees in his visor. His visor wouldn't be, or his, visor eyes wouldn't be as techy because he doesn't have that much tech. So it'd probably be more kind of... I'm going to take a little bit of inspiration from what possibly Spider-Man said in his video. Make it like, for the focus bar, make it webs. And it's like a web meter that fills up. For the web shooter, actually have a web shooter on the side or something, and all of the webs that go down when you use it in this game are actually like web icons. And for the map, I wouldn't exactly want it like he said where like the buildings are scribbled and stuff, but like just make it downgraded and not as much tech, and make Peter work for the Daily Bugle and have to take pictures for the Daily Bugle to make money, because of course he struggles with that. Take another thing that possibly Spider-Man said in his video. I know I'm not necessarily stealing the idea, but I'm just adding what I would also put into what he made in his video. I think his whole photo mode idea would be cool. If you haven't already, go watch this video. Go watch this video. It's very good and a lot better than this one. So, but have photo mode be more of an aspect to where, like, you have to take photos of Spider-Man fighting, or, like, before you go to fight crime or fight, like, a boss or something, he, like, sets up a camera in the corner or something and is taking pictures while you're fighting, because that's what he does. Or, like, have him try to take pictures while he's fighting and, I don't know, make money off of it. And you could use the money to buy the suits and stuff. I don't really have more ideas for, like, Spider-Man costumes and everything. I just kind of wanted to add a little bit here and there with, like, my story aspects. Have Sandman be a person that you have to fight. Have Kingpin behind it all, pulling the strings. Have Sandman, Vulture, and Lizard. That's it. Or Sandman, Vulture, Lizard, Shocker, like people that he could fight on the side as long as he's still, like, kind of kept up by multiple villains. Because I know in this one they did actually put together the Sinister Six, so of course I wouldn't want them to put them back together, but, like, put Shocker or Sandman into it, because that would kind of be reusing what they did in this game. I'd rather them have Sandman as, like, a first fight, kind of like how Kingpin was in this game. Or have Shocker as the first fight. And then Sandman, you have to fight him a couple times throughout the story here and there. You fight Vulture once, you beat him and send him to jail. And then with the Lizard, you have, like, one pretty long, decent fight with him, and then, like, you transform him back into Connors. Of course, that doesn't last long, as he says when he looks at the vial of Connor's blood. So maybe at the, like, end credits or something, it shows him turning back into Lizard. Or you have to fight him again later on because Kingpin found a way to, like, turn him back into Lizard. And then at the very end of the game, you defeat Kingpin and send him to jail. But of course that doesn't last long because he's Kingpin, he has resources, and they bust him out, which is why he isn't in jail in this game, and he just hasn't been able to successfully put him back in jail since. As far as, like, the Bugle goes, have him take pictures on the side, have, like, a photo mode like in this one where you had to go around and take pictures with the camera and stuff of the buildings, like the Avengers Tower and everything. Of course, the Avengers would have to still exist, but they wouldn't, just like in this game, they wouldn't be a huge part of it. They'd just have, like, a mention here or there, and the tower would be there. I do think it'd be cool if they made an Avengers game similar to this one, where you can free roam with the Avengers. So you could open your roster here, and, like, right here where Gadgets is, each character would have their own menu, but like right here with suits, it would be characters, and you could pick between the original 6 Avengers and maybe throw in like Spider-Man and Falcon. Boom. Then give all of them suits. So when you click on that character, it has a very similar to this like type thing. Of course, I'd love for Insomniac to do it because they made this game, they made the Miles Morales game, and they're making a second Spider-Man game, and I have high hopes for it. I had high hopes for Miles and for this one, and they all like succeeded my expectations. So I would really like for Insomniac to make it. And when you click on your characters, it pulls up like a suits menu, and they got like 10 or 12 different suits for each character. Basically succeed on the things that the Avengers game made by Square Enix failed to do. Make it open world, make it to where it's not just missions, and give like 1 or 2 main villains. Maybe I wouldn't want them to do Thanos, because if they wanted to do like a second or third game, then that would be where you would fight Thanos. Maybe make the main villain like Taskmaster or another Avengers level threat, maybe Ultron or Loki as like main villains. As far as like DLCs, if they were to make DLCs, I think a DLC with the Fantastic Four would be pretty cool. And have that Avengers game tied into the Spider-Man universe, so it's basically the Avengers from this universe that aren't like around in New York. Like those Avengers would be the Avengers that connect to this one, so you'd get to see what they're doing while Spider-Man's in New York doing whatever he's doing. So maybe not have him in the main roster, maybe replace him with like, I don't know, Miss Marvel or something, I don't know. But just, I think that'd also be a pretty cool game idea. As far as some new mechanics for original like Spider-Man oriented game, have him use more tricks, like his air tricks like this and stuff. Have it more like Miles. He's playful, he's just learning how to use his powers, and he's having fun with them, of course, while he's being like responsible with them, because with great power comes great responsibility. He's being responsible, but also is having a little bit more fun with it, because he's like, hey, I'm a teenager, I just got powers, this is so cool. Have more like a fun aesthetic to it. And of course, give him the teenage high school problems. Like for some missions, have it similar to the Mary Jane ones in this game, except they wouldn't be as annoying. It would just be like, get to high school on time, and you'd have to like swing over to Midtown High School, and then it would have like him putting on the regular clothes, like taking off the Spider-Man suit, putting on the regular clothes, and trying to make it into high school without being late. And maybe have a fight where like Sandman or something breaks into the high school, and he has to kind of sneak out so that he can get into his Spider-Man uniform to fight him. Have him with Mary Jane, because in this game, again, she's in this game and they've known each other since whenever they met each other in the comics, like, I don't know, 7th grade or something. Have it like him and Mary Jane are dating, but he's always like letting her down because he's never around, because he's always Spider-Man, and he has to go save the city every now and then, or pretty much all the time. So he'd be letting her down and have like their issues, because in this game it said like they had issues, it didn't work out, and partially because of him being Spider-Man would make sense. He's never around to do things. She'd always have to worry about whether he'd make it back alive or if he would die out there. Just give it some more realistic high school drama, because I mean, he is Spider-Man, but not too realistic, because it's a fictional game about a fictional character. As far as friends, Harry, of course, Harry is mentioned in this game and is shown in 2 end credit scenes for this one and Miles Morales, where it's setting him up to be Venom. They did the same thing in Ultimate Spider-Man, kind of, where they had Harry as Venom, but they didn't give him the thing that killed his mother. Like in this game, he has the same diagnosed illness, or like whatever. He has the same illness that killed his mom, so in order to save his life, Norman, of course, gave him the symbiote. How Norman got the symbiote, maybe that will be something shown in that game. Anyway, make Harry the friend, and before he's been corrupted by his sickness, before they know about it and everything, just like have him with his friends. There's not too much that they could do that I haven't already, like, of course, I don't work at Insomniac. I'm not a professional game person or a professional YouTuber. I mean, this video is me repeating the same 47 things over and over again because I'm unprepared. Anyway, I can't think of like more things that they could do. I would like to see some things in Spider-Man 2, but that's not what this video is about. This is about a Spider-Man Origins game. I probably will make a video either after this or maybe just retitle this. Yeah, I'll just retitle this. Screw it. For Spider-Man 2, there's a couple things that I'd like to see. And this mechanic could even be in the Origins game if they decided to make one. While Spider-Man's swinging around, he's more fun with it like he is in the movies. So take Andrew's representation of Spider-Man. He's swinging around New York, he's having fun, he's screaming, woohoo! He's just having fun with his powers, but also being the quirky, serious kind of person that he is when he's fighting. So of course he'd still have the same, like, cocky jokiness, but he'd be serious when he needed to be. Anyway, I'd like to see him swinging around, screaming, woo! Just having fun, having more than just a front roll, a back roll, and whatever the spaghetti noodle thing is. Give him more fun tricks like Miles. Miles has like 30 tricks, and they're all like what you would imagine a teenager who just found out that he has spider powers would do. I'd do it, you'd do it, anybody would most likely have a lot of fun with these powers if they had them, especially once they first gotten them. They'd be like, oh my god, this is so cool, and they just have a ton of fun with it. I'd also like to see an ability, this is purely for the second game, where he can slingshot himself, because in a lot of iterations, he'll like, here, hold on. He'll web onto 2 different surfaces. So say, that building and that, like, water tower thing. He'd web onto both of them, he'd back up, and then you'd press X and he'd go flying. It's kind of like the zip thing, but like you'd have to attach to 2 different things, back up, and then press the jump button, and he would go flying. It's basically like a catapult, and I think that's a really missed opportunity that they didn't do in this game that I'd love to see them do in the second one. And if they don't, of course, it's fine, whatever. But, like, I love it so much. I think it'd be pretty cool. And it'd also be a fast way to get around. Because, you know, in this game you got, like, the zip points and stuff like that. But in order to just go flying, I think it'd be a pretty cool idea. I'd also like to see, there's a rumor where every suit in the second game is going to have a symbiote style because Venom is like the main villain or maybe anti-hero. We don't know. Game comes out next year. We'll find out soon enough. But anyway, I'd like to see, along with, say, this suit having a Venom style, hopefully they do a TASM 2 suit, and it would have like a Venom style. Even the movie suits would have them. That would be awesome, because we'd get to see suits with the symbiote that we never got to see. Of course, we already know it. Toby's looked like with it, so we just have kind of that look again. They just kind of copy and paste it and change the colors around. But for him, we never got to see him touch the symbiote. We haven't seen Tom touch the symbiote yet. So to have both of those suits have a symbiote style, that'd be awesome. And as cool as that is, I'd also like to see a comic accurate symbiote suit. So along with all of the other suits that have the symbiotes with them, have the comic accurate black suit, big white spider logo that goes from his chest to his back, and it's like all connected like Venom, and then just a plain black mask with the white eyes. That I think would be a awesome suit. For some other suits, I'd like to see the Ultimate Spider-Man and Spectacular Spider-Man animated suits come to this game, because in Miles Morales' game, they gave him the suit that he had in Ultimate Spider-Man in like the last season, and I thought that was so cool. But then when I looked back at this game, they never gave him an animated suit from that game, or from that TV show. So I think giving Peter the suit from the Ultimate Spider-Man show would be awesome, and giving him the Spectacular Spider-Man suit would also be pretty cool. And that suit's kind of similar to this one, but like also not similar to it at all. It's very confusing, but I'd like to see both of those as like animated suits thrown into this game, and maybe some other suits. Trying to think of other suits that would be cool for a second game. I don't know, but just seeing some varied suits from other movies and TV shows, and like having animated suits would also be pretty cool. Of course, they need to give him a 100% completion suit again, because in this game they did give him a 100% completion suit. Granted, it's kind of weird and kind of wacky. It's still like a funny suit, because it was shown earlier in the game when he was on Scorpion's poison. Somehow he went from being in his full Spider-Man outfit to just in his underwear, which was kind of weird. But like, give him another 100% completion suit that isn't in a game already. So don't give him like the classic suit as 100% completion, because we already had that in this game. Give him like what's a cool comic suit? Maybe have after having all of the symbiotes, like all of the suits have a symbiote style, maybe make the original symbiote suit the special 100% completion for that game, since it's a main like symbiote main game with Venom being the villain, and having every suit with a style of the symbiote. I think that'd be pretty cool. Have like the comic symbiote suit be like the tier 100, not tier 100, but like 100% completion. That'd be awesome. I'd also like to see a winged suit, because in a lot of things, including Spectacular Spider-Man, Spider-Man has wings, kind of like Black Bolt under his armpits. It's like webbed wings, and I'm pretty sure that's also in the backpacks, so it makes sense to have it. Yeah, here it is. Hold on. My underarm webs. They never really worked. Still, I mean, it's comic, or not comic, but it's like continuity accurate. I mean, it was in his Origins, so that could be a suit in the Origins thing, or a mechanic in the Origins Spider-Man game, where you can like jump off of a building and just glide a short distance. Or in the second game, he like improves on it, and he has the wing, or the web wings, and he can glide a short distance. That'd be pretty cool. I'd love to see it, because it'd also be another way to get around the map faster, other than just fast traveling and swinging. As far as for some like fast travel points, at least for the Origins game, I think Aunt May's house would make sense, because he's 16, he's a teenager, he hasn't moved out into his own apartment, so he'd still be living with Aunt May. So it also has some things where like he has to get back before like a certain curfew, so you can't be out too late as Spider-Man. And some like disciplinary things like that. Well, maybe he couldn't stop a crime because he was stuck at home and couldn't solve a crime or something, or couldn't go stop one. Stuff like, just the tiny stuff like that would be pretty cool. Of course, if the Origins one was set in high school, it would have to deal with the bullying from Flash Thompson and the other football nerds. So I think that'd be pretty cool, but I'd also like to see more into Flash's story and not just him being a bully, because he's not just a bully. And I think it was in Ultimate Spider-Man where they kind of touched on that a little bit, where he just had a rough life at home, so he just decided to bully people. I think that would be pretty cool, so we would see the bullying aspect, but maybe have like a clip or two here and there where he's shown to be more heartfelt and actually tries helping out Spider-Man, because he's like a diehard Spider-Man fan and everything. So he hates Peter but loves Spider-Man because he doesn't know Peter is Spider-Man. But just stuff like that I think would be cool. That's really all I got for a Spider-Man Origins game, or some mechanics for Spider-Man 2 that I'd like to see, or even an Avengers game. If they don't make one eventually, they'd be losing so much money. Like, I know it'd be hard to make, but like, realistically, who wouldn't want to play a game where you're running around as the Avengers, flying around as Iron Man, jumping from building to building with Hulk? As far as Captain America, for a game like this, it wouldn't be too awesome because, I mean, he can't fly or swing from a web. But like, for him, Black Widow and Hawkeye, it'd kind of be a little bit hard, but maybe have Cap run faster or something. He's not like super speed fast, but he's not like basic human fast like this. He's like just a little bit faster to where it's not so boring. As far as Hawkeye, have him like being able to grapple from building to building or something. Same with Black Widow, and they could even do that with Captain America because he has a grapple on his belt, which a lot of people don't know about, but if you watched Civil War, you would know he does have one on his belt of things that he like never touches in anything. As far as like Thor, he'd also just fly like Iron Man. Maybe have them travel outside of New York, because in this game it says that they're never in New York and they never get to use their tower, so maybe have them have to go to Asgard or something, or have to fight Red Skull, who's like quote-unquote come back from the dead, and like Cap didn't know about it, and just cool little stuff like that I think would be awesome. But yeah, that's about all I got for my ideas. If you have any ideas of your own, feel free to comment, or I don't know, like, if you'd like to see these games, go ahead and drop a like down below, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know exactly when I post. My yawn is messing up my outro. Anyway, go follow my Twitch at TimeMaster707. Go follow my Facebook gaming page at TCMO707Gaming. Oh my god, I can't speak today. Anyway, I will see you guys next time. Peace out. Have fun. Also, I'm gonna make another customs video in a couple of hours because I made more customs on the Inhumans. So, yeah, stay tuned for that.